Here we are on the front of our Sporttrek 291 VTQ. We're going to do a technical walkthrough like a technician would give you on the data delivery, going through all the components and operation on this unit with a few tips along the way. If your component's different, name, brand, or you want a deeper dive on some of these components, you can find more information under our helpful hacks section on our Great American RV YouTube channel. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe on this content as well as the rest of our stuff so we can keep making more for you. Be a subscriber so you don't miss the next video that comes out. We're going to start in the front here. We have our 12-volt power jack. It runs off of our battery power. If we follow this red line right here, we do have a fuse in line. If for whatever reason our jack isn't operating, we can check that fuse, make sure it's not blown. From there, we want to make sure we have a good 12-volt battery. If our jack still isn't working, then we can pull that cap off right there, put our override crank handle in there, and crank that jack manually. That way it will get us out of a jam. We also have our 7-way plug up here in the front. This is going to plug into our towing vehicle, transfer all of our lights, our turn signals, all that stuff. But it also has a battery charge line in it that is going to pull off the alternator of the vehicle to help charge that battery while you're traveling down the road. You're also going to have your brake controller that sends a brake signal to the trailer. That wire is also running through here as well. Speaking of brakes, we have this lanyard right here with the loop on it. This needs to hook to your receiver hitch where you hook your safety chains up with an extra clamp, something like that. You don't want to hook it with your safety chains. The idea is if the hitch fails or safety chains fail, that this lanyard pulls that pin out of the box, which is your breakaway box, and it activates the brakes on the trailer to bring it to a stop. Now we always want to make sure that we have a good 12-volt battery in here, otherwise these brakes aren't going to activate when we need them to in that case. And we also need to make sure that that little pin is plugged into that box while we're traveling, otherwise our brakes will be active when we don't want them to be. Behind that we have our dual propane tanks. They are accessible with our little covers right here on the top. We can twist, open up our tanks, and in the front here we can see our dual propane regulator. That dual propane regulator does give us a little indicator on there letting us know red or green whether or not that tank is full or empty. Green meaning full, red meaning empty. And we also see a little lever on there. That lever we can swap from one tank to the other and make that tank our primary. Now, the way dual propane regulator works is you select that primary, it's going to run it until it runs empty, and that secondary tank is going to pick up so you don't lose propane in the middle of cooking. Now, once that secondary tank runs dry, you are empty, but in the process, if you notice that first one is empty, you can swap that lever over to make that secondary tank your primary and have the other one refilled. Behind that, we have our battery rack where we can install our batteries, and we also have our battery disconnect. Our battery disconnect is important for when we are storing our unit. If we're storing our unit unplugged, we want to turn that disconnect off so we're not pulling any power off of that battery and killing it to run things like lights or anything if our unit is stored. You will still have some stuff on there. Even if you turn everything off, it'll drain that battery. If we are using our unit or anytime our unit is plugged in, we want that battery disconnect on. That way our battery charging system will charge that battery. Over here we do have access to our pass-through compartment right here, and down here at the bottom we have our manual stabilizer jack. This is a manual jack. You have to crank it down in order to stabilize your unit. Now this is meant to stabilize only. It does have a weight rating and it's well below what the weight of the camper is. It's not meant to level out your unit. If you want to level out your unit, you need to get the stacker blocks like we have at our store, stack them up, put them under your tires as you're backing up to level your unit from left to right. Then you use your tongue jack in the front to level it from front to back. From there, we go ahead and lower these stab jacks down and stabilize our unit to help reduce movement inside. The best shape for that is that diamond shape form for these jacks. If we go straight up and down with them, they are going to shift, bend, and break at the welds, and manufacturers don't cover that kind of damage, so make sure we're using those correctly. Up here we have our black tank flush. That black tank flush is going to be used to clean out our sewer system. We'll talk a little bit more about that whenever we get to our black tank system. Here we have our docking station. This is where we're going to hook up all our water fixtures and everything. We'll go over that right now. So here on our docking station, we can see this blue lever right here. This is going to coordinate with our diagram right here. If we want to fill our tank, which is that onboard water storage, and that we want to take with us, because in the event we are going somewhere that has no water hookup, we would want to go ahead and hook our water hose up to this, and then we can fill that tank. Now, if we do have water connection wherever we're at, we go ahead and turn it to city water, and then that water will go straight to our fixtures. This vent right below it is just a vent for that fresh tank. That way that air can escape out of there. We have a quick connect right here that will provide us with that blue coil hose we can hook up right here and have a spray port with hot and cold. And then we have our 2 coax connections right here for satellite and cable. On our docking station, we talked about that fresh tank. That's that onboard storage. Once we fill it, we can kick on our 12-volt water pump and supply water to our fixtures if we don't have water wherever we're going. We can notice this blue line right here with the valve on it. We can open that up and drain that fresh tank out. We want to do that so we don't have added extra weight. If we're not using the water, drain it out. We also don't want that water to become stagnant over time if we keep it in when we're not using it. Right before our slide out, we can see our waste tank exit right here. We pull that cap off, hook our sewer hose up, and connect it to either dump station or the station there at our campsite. Now, we have 2 valves on here. One is going to be our black valve, one is going to be our gray, both labeled by the color of the valves. Our black is for our black tank. That's sewage from our toilet. Everything that goes down the toilet is going to the black tank, and our gray tank is our showers and sinks, whether it be kitchen, bathroom, wherever. That is where that's going in that gray tank. Now, what we want to know about dumping our system is that our gray tank, if we have that sewer hookup and location at our campsite, we can leave that valve open all the time, let that water drain out. It's just soapy water, maybe a little food debris, no big deal. Open it up, let it run. Now, our black tank, however, that valve needs to stay closed all the time until it's either full or we're ready to dump, period. We open that valve up, we let everything drain out of that tank, and then we can take a water hose, hook up to our black tank flush right there by our docking station, and we can flush that tank out. There's a little jet port on the other side of the tank. When we turn the water on that black tank flush, it's going to push any other debris in that tank down to this valve. When we are satisfied with that, we shut off our black tank flush, we close that black tank valve, and then we go on the inside and we push down on the pedal for our toilet, and we want to fill that tank with several gallons of fresh, clean water. Then we add our chemicals to it. That will help while you're traveling down the road. That water will slosh around, help clean anything that might still be on the walls, and knock it down. You can dump it again if you wish, or just allow the chemicals to break down that debris. Now, there are more tips, pro tips on how to flush out your black tank. You can find that in our HAPS Helpful Hacks section of our YouTube playlist for Great American. So basically, gray tank open all the time, black tank, leave it closed, because if we don't, the debris inside will dry up if we don't leave water in that tank. We always have to have some clean water in there, even when we're storing our unit. Our slide out is a 12-volt powered system. It is a ram underneath the underbelly that pushes that slide out in and out. There is an override for that system right under your steps behind the J-wrap. You'll see a little post sticking out, and we'll put a crank handle or impact gun on to be able to run that slide in and out in the event that the motor fails. Down here, we're also going to have our secondary gray tank. This system has 2, so we would hook up another hose. We can go to that front hose with a Y pipe, and that one, once again, gray tank, you can leave it open all the time. That valve, once again, located right under the J-wrap coming out of our frame, and we do have another stabilizer jack right here. We'll have that in all 4 corners. This door right here provides us with access into our bunkhouse area for extra storage. And of course, we have our 50-amp power supply right here with our power cord. So twist lock, you put it in, turn it to the right to lock it in, and then we go ahead and plug it into our service at our campground. We want to make sure we put this retainer ring nice and tight on here. That way, if kids are playing around, nobody knocks that cord off, causes any surges in our system or loss of power. We also want to make sure our AC systems are off before we plug that system in to make sure there's no surges on that compressor. On the back of our unit, we are pre-wired for a Furrion backup camera system, meaning we have power up there. You pull the cover off, you can purchase that backup camera, plug it in, and you have power and ready to go when you turn on your running lights, monitor what's behind you while you're traveling or while you're backing up. We do have a factory supply ladder right here. That's to gain access to your roof. This is important because we need to maintain the sealant on our roof every 60 to 90 days. That includes the sealant on our sidewalls, our corner trims, everywhere on the unit. We need to monitor it every 60 to 90 days, make sure there's no peeling, cracking, any deterioration whatsoever to that stuff, allowing water entry into our unit. Manufacturers don't cover it after the first 90 days, so it is customer responsibility to take care of that. You also need to get up on your roof and clean it once or twice a year, make sure we're maintaining the rubber up there, and we're also checking for any poked holes or anything like that from low-lying tree branches after we've been out on a trip. So make sure we're taking care of that so our camper will last for years to come. We also have on our tank, we have some plastic. On our bumper, we have some plastic covers on the end. We can pull those off, store our sewer hose on there. And then we also have our receiver hitch down here at the bottom with a weight rating on it. You notice there's no tow hook locations, so it is not meant to tow a trailer behind you, as well as no lights. So it's only for a bike rack, extra carriage, or anything like that you want to put on the back. On the passenger side, we do have more access to our pass-through bay right here. We're also going to see that Lippert tire link system in there to be able to upgrade if we want to purchase the sensors and the monitor for that. We're already pre-wired for the power on there. You just buy that system, plug it in, and put on the sensors, and you can monitor your tires while you're traveling down the road. So once again, we're going to have another stabilizer jack right down here at the bottom. Our unit does have an awning. Our awning is 12-volt powered along with our awning lights. All of those 12-volt components do have a fuse panel located on the inside. We'll cover in a little while. You can go to check and see if something's not functioning, if that fuse is blown. It's very important on our awning that anytime we have a bad storm, windstorm, rainstorm, anything like that, we roll that awning in. We're leaving our campsite for a long period of time, roll that awning in because you don't want to come back and see it all falling down on the ground. It's meant to be a sunshade, maybe a light rain shade. I don't necessarily suggest leaving it down in any type of rain, because if water gathers on here, then it will collapse and fall and cause damage, as well as a safety hazard for anybody under it. So make sure that we're using that precaution whenever we are using our awning. One thing we need to do when we do roll it out is we need to pitch it either to the front or to the back. Very easy. We grab our arm right here at this pivot point and we pull it down, and now we have pitched our awning towards the front. Our awning arm in the rear is the exact same. We can do it towards the rear instead if we want. This allows any AC condensation that gets up there, light dew, light drizzle, anything like that, allows that water to drain off of our awning, preventing it from collapsing. When we're ready to roll our awning up, we push that arm up and we can roll it in. Behind our entry door, we have our Fogatti tankless water heater system. We'll go over the operation of that on the inside. It is supplied by propane and operated with 12 volts. We also have our Suburban gas-powered furnace right here that is going to warm our unit. Under our J-wrap, we'll see a spot for a crank handle to be able to lower our spare tire, as well as that slide-out override we had talked about earlier. We also have a vent up here. This vent is for over our 3-burner stove on the inside to be able to vent while we are cooking. There are a couple of tabs on here. We'd have to open those up in order for that air to actually vent out. We want to close it when we store our units so no insects can build any nests in there. We're also going to have our cable hookup as well as our GFCI protected 110 outlet over here. We can put our outdoor TV out here and have cable and antenna supplied to us. All of our GFCI outlets are going to be operated by our main GFCI on the inside. We'll go over that when we hit the inside. All right, moving to the very rear, we have our outdoor kitchen. Our outdoor kitchen can be pulled out by these 2 blue tabs. We pull down and then we can go ahead and pull that system all the way out, lock it in. Notice we have our outdoor griddle right here. That griddle is operated with a gas, and we do have our extension hose right here. If we look underneath, we do have that male connection, quick connect. We go ahead and hook it up, and then we're going to have another connection down here under the J-wrap to hook up there. These 2 valves, you're going to have them closed in order to connect that quick connect and then open it back up for that flow to pass through. Now we also have our outdoor kitchen sink right here where water ran to it. We can hook up that quick connect hose or anything right here to be able to have water spray. For our drain though, we do have to hook up a water hose down here. We'll see that connection right here. We hook a water hose up and we can just run it off to a drain connection to be able to let that run out. Now to store our outdoor kitchen, we pull down these blue tabs and push it in, make sure it's locked in and stable, ready for travel. We also have our outdoor refrigerator right here. This is 110 operated. Keep in mind, anytime we have our unit plugged in, that fridge is going to be turned on. Anytime a fridge is turned on, the freezer's on, the fridge is on, so that means it's cooling inside. It may freeze, it may cool. And one thing we need to do after we've unplugged our unit is open that outdoor fridge, make sure we are defrosting everything in it, wiping it down, getting any water out of that fridge. Otherwise, it can drain out and damage our wood components outside or around that fridge. This is considered customer maintenance as far as defrosting a refrigerator properly. If we don't do it, manufacturers aren't going to participate in any water damage that occurs due to that. Well, also down here at the bottom, we'll see our low point drains, that red and blue line down there at the bottom. We need to keep that in mind when we winterize our unit. We do have another video for that in our HAPS Helpful Hack section. On our entry door, we will notice some friction controlled hinges right here, so you're going to feel some resistance when you open and close that door, prevent the wind from slamming that door. Now we also have our solid steps right here. These solid steps are a great safety feature on there. One thing we want to keep in mind, after we've leveled out our unit from left to right, front to back, we want to come over here and level our steps. In order to do that, we have these silver tabs on the bottom. We can go ahead and push those in and extend or retract those legs in order to level out those steps. Now I want to do that for a couple reasons. Number one, make sure this threshold is nice and flush so our door will close properly, but we also want to make sure that our frames don't hit each other on the door and the steps either when we open and close that door. In order to store our steps, we go ahead, flip them up, and we lock them in, making sure this latch catches on the frame right here. In order to bring them down, pull that blue lever and drop it down. As we walk in our entry door, we'll notice our control panel right here. It has a tank heater for our tanks in the underbelly. In the event we have cold weather, we'll kick those on, and that will protect our tanks from freezing up. We have that water pump, 12-volt powered. When we kick that on, that'll pull from our onboard storage. Now, anytime we have a city water connection or that fresh tank is empty, we want to leave that pump off so we don't burn it up. Now, we will notice that that is an on-demand pump. It's only going to run whenever you turn your faucets and stuff on. So if you notice running all the time and you don't have anything on, you want to turn that off and check, see if that fresh tank is empty or if you have a leak somewhere. You can monitor all of your tanks as well as your battery right here by pushing these buttons, and it will give you the level of those tanks right here at the top. Now you'll notice you do have two black tanks on this monitor. Your unit does not have two tanks. This is a generic panel. You do have two gray tanks, however, so both of those are usable. Here on the side you have your awning, extend and retract, 12-volt powered, as well as your awning lights and your interior lights right there. Now we have our slide out in and out as well, also 12-volt power. You're also going to have your Go Power 30-amp solar controller that will monitor your solar power while it is charging that battery. Also by our entry door, we do have that 110 12-volt control center right here. It's where all our 110 breakers are, all labeled to let you know what they're operating. We can check, see if any of them have tripped in the event that something's not working. We also have our 12-volt fuses right here. We can check, they are all labeled as far as what they operate as well. For our entertainment, we do have our TV as well as our coax hookups on the back for satellite and cable, sound bar. We also have our 110 fireplace. We'll go over some more information on that right now. Here we have our fireplace. We have a sensor right up here in the top right. We have to aim that remote at to turn it on. We have our Celsius and Fahrenheit temperature we can change to. And right here, this little flame icon is going to change the dimness of our flame. If we want to change the lighting of our flame, we hit the light bulb on the screen down here at the bottom, and it'll give you some different options right there. If we want to operate our heater on a timer, once again, electric heater, it is going to be this button right here. It looks like a clock, and when we push it, we can see some times pop up, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, all the way up to 8, and then it will go to 0 hours, letting you know that that timer is off. If we want to change our temperature, we'll use one of these two buttons at the bottom, and we can see once again we have a temperature down there, and we will go ahead and raise it until it kicks on, or lower it, we want it to kick off, or we can keep going until it says on, and that heater will stay running all the time. We kick it up one more time, and it's going to say OF, meaning that that system is off. In our kitchen, we do have our 110 microwave, our vent fan over the top. Remember, we have to open up that vent outside for it to actually ventilate out. Our 3-burner stove has our glass cooktop right here that adds more counter space. That is also the travel position it should be in whenever we are moving. When we're cooking, we go ahead and flip it up. We pick our designated burner, we turn it to the flame sense right there, and then we go ahead and activate our ignition knob right here, and it will light our stovetop. Now, of course, our propane does need to be on in order for that to operate. And another great tip is bleeding the air out of your system. Now, anytime you pulled your unit out of storage, more than likely you had your propane tanks off, or you changed your tanks somewhere down the line. That is going to cause you to have air in your system, and in order to bleed it out, real simple, come over to the stovetop and do exactly that. Light your stovetop up. It's going to take a little bit of time, maybe 60 seconds to 2 minutes. Crank that up, Keep clicking it until it lights. You have a nice blue flame all the way around. We want to make sure we do this first thing when we change out our tanks or pull our unit out of storage before we go activate things like our tankless water heater or our furnace, because this will help prevent those things from going into a fault. Now our oven down here, pretty plain and simple. We'll open that door. Down there we can see our burner tube. We turn this knob right here to our flame icon, but on this one we have to continue pushing that knob down for the gas to flow until that pilot is lit. Once again, using your igniter knob to light it. Once you see it is lit, you keep holding that down for about another 30 to 60 seconds. Let the thermocouple warm up, and then you can turn it to your desired temperature, and that tube should go ahead and light up. We'll notice all of these knobs turn red, letting you know gas is being emitted out of that system if the propane is on, and that lets you know, hey, I need to go turn it off if I'm not using it. Our 12-volt Furrion fridge right here does have a control knob on the inside. It can go from off to cold to cooler, and also has that off-grid option. That off-grid option is used for whenever you are not plugged in somewhere, you're trying to conserve 12-volt power, and the compressor will not run as hard to keep everything cool. And it's also considering maybe you're not opening and closing those doors as much. So if you ever need that, you can use that. Our unit, once again, 12-volt powered, not 110, so it will pull off your battery. And just like our outdoor fridge, anytime we turn that system on, it's gonna cool, it's gonna freeze, especially in that freezer, and we need to defrost that system, clean all the water out of it before we store it. That way we don't have any damage to our wood components around it. Down here next to our bunkhouse area, we do have our COLP detector that's going to let us know if we have any harmful gases on our unit. It will alert us. You will see a little green light glowing down there at the bottom. That does mean that it is powered up by our 12 volts. Anytime you see that off, we want to check our battery power, check the wiring to make sure it's working. We also want to test it once a month or before our camping trips to make sure that alarm is working as well. We're also going to have an expiration date on that COLP detector. We want to make sure that we are checking that it's either going to be stamped on the front or the back of it. Whenever it expires, we need to go ahead and change that out. We also have our Coleman Mach thermostat right there for our AC system. We're going to go over the operation of that and our heat as well. All right, this is our thermostat for our AC system. When we click that button once, it'll give us the option for mode. Our first mode is cool. We hit that button again, and then we can choose between high or low auto or high and low all the time. So high and low all the time will keep that fan running constantly, even though that compressor is not on. Auto will shut that fan off whenever our compressor is turned off. Once we go ahead and initiate those two items, our AC will kick on, and we can choose our desired temperature by turning that knob right there. And the larger number on that screen is going to be our room temperature. So here we're set at 63, and our actual temperature is 83. Cool on is going to show you that that system is initiating, and that system will kick on. Our next option on there, if we hit that button twice again, is heat. When we go ahead and click it right there, it will bring on the heat, show our room temperature as well as our set to temperature. Our heat is only going to come out of the lower areas. It's not going to come out of that rooftop AC. If you have air blowing out of that rooftop area, then we want to make sure that we don't have the fan on high or low on that cool option. So we would go back to our cool, and we would check right here and make sure it's on auto. Our last option on here is cool and heat. In this case, we can go ahead and do the same thing, choose our fan options, just have a set temp in between the furnace and the AC. It will keep that temperature set at that 72-degree mark. Now, in order to turn that system completely off, click it twice again, and we can go to off. Up here we have our filter for our Coleman Mach AC, and we would go ahead and turn these two blue tabs right here to be able to drop that down and gain access to that filter. We need to check it, clean it, replace it, whatever we need to do to make sure. And when it is dirty, it is not restricting airflow to our AC, so it can run efficiently. We're also going to notice smoke detectors in our unit. We need to check the battery power in those as well. Not much to go over in our bunkhouse area. Of course, we do have a vent back here, as well as another cable hookup for our TV. We have that outdoor compartment door right here that gains access for storage, as well as our bunk ladder to be able to get in the bunk. In our bathroom, we do have our hot cold for our shower head and our adjustable shower head option. We're also going to have a vent fan in our bathroom in order to ventilate while we're taking a shower. It's suggested you do that to help reduce the humidity in here and reduce the opportunity for mold and mildew. And here we also have our toilet. Pretty simple. We got number one, number two, right? Number one, do your business. You hit that pedal and you flush it down into your tank. Number two is going to be solids. We want to fill that bowl up about 1/2 to 3/4 of the way. We can do that by barely depressing that foot pedal and filling that bowl up. This is to make sure we have enough water to go ahead and put those solids all the way down in that tank, and you won't have any plumbing issues while it does that. We also want to keep in mind we want to use RV toilet paper only in our system so it will decompose properly. We use anything else that's going to clog up that system. Only put number one, number two toilet paper and our RV chemicals down this toilet. Don't put anything else because it will get clogged up in that valve system. In here we also have our RV Level Mate Pro. We'll go over the operation of that, as well as our Fogatti tankless water heater system and our GFCI. So we're going to walk you through how to operate this Level Mate Pro. We can see that our adjustments are right there in front of us. If we drop the front down, of course, we'll see the front drop, so on and so forth. But the objective is to continue to level this unit until we start to see that 0 come to life. We get a green, and then we are good to go. We can also set our hitch position. So once we are disconnected from our truck, we can see down here at the bottom, we can hit set, and that will set our hitch position right there. If we click yes, hitch position is set. So now after we have leveled our unit out, let's say we don't want to play that guessing game, right? So we bring our jacks up and we can control that front tongue jack. We hit recall here and it will adjust and let you know where that original hitch height was, and you can go up and down until you zero out there. Then you won't have to worry about trying to guess where that hitch height actually is. That wraps up everything on our Level Mate Pro. Our water heater system right here is pretty cut and dry. Turn it off and on, hit that power button, change between Fahrenheit and Celsius, hit that button right there. And to change our set temperature, which is going to be the temperature of our water output, we can control that with our arrows right here. On demand system, we turn our hot water on and it will initiate, turn on the flame, and begin to heat that water. Our GFCI outlet right here is going to control all those outlets in wet locations in our kitchen, outside, anywhere where you see a label saying GFCI protected. In the event that these outlets are overloaded with too many skillets, coffee makers, or anything of that nature, this system will trip. And also if those outlets get wet, this system will trip too. So this is where basically it's like a breaker on here. You have two buttons, your reset button, your test button. If we hit that test button, it's going to initiate like that system is tripped, and it's going to kill all those outlets. In the event that happens and your system trips, we come over here, we hit that reset button, we'll see that green light pop back on, and you're good to go. If it immediately trips again, then we want to go remove some of those appliances we have on there, or make sure that none of those outlets are wet. Not too much to go over in our bedroom. We do have more access to our bathroom from here, as well as storage under our bed. We do have that second AC system in here. This AC does have its own thermostat here in the bedroom, but it's only going to control this one AC, and the cool option, your heat option, is only going to be in that living room. In here we also have our backer for our TV location, as well as our coax for our antenna satellite, and we have the option to upgrade to that King pre-wired Wi-Fi system. If we want to upgrade, we can have Wi-Fi with us wherever we go. On this coax plate, you're going to notice a little button right there, and next to that button is a little green light. When that green light is on, that means your 12-volt antenna boost is initiated. We want to use this when we're searching for air channels, so it will boost the signal and pick up more channels in your area. Whenever you are hooked to cable at the campground, want to push that little button and turn that light off, and that means that that 12-volt boost is off, so it won't scramble the channels for your cable system. Our dinette booth does provide more sleeping in that area. You can see the bumpers on there. We pull that table up, remove the post, and we can drop that down. And of course we do have our powered massage seats as well as heat on these recliners and our manual recline mode.
Well, we hope you found that resourceful, but wait, there's more information on our Great American RV YouTube channel. This channel right here, find the playlist Hap's Helpful Hacks. We go over different products in this unit, and we'll take a deeper dive with more diagnostics, more information, as well as helpful tips when you're out camping. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, like, share, subscribe, do all those awesome things on YouTube, TikTok, wherever you found us, and keep watching here at Great American RV Superstores, where we bring the how-to you.